Здорово, комрады. Сегодня мы продолжаем быть с вами в роли ковбоя. Самого настоящего, непослушного, внезаконного ковбоя. Играем в игру Juarez Gunslinger. Если что, он так правильно читается. Я вроде бы починил звук. Нажмите любую клавишу. Начать игру. История. Продолжить. Так, секунду, ребятушки, надо с телефона поставить. Ну, давай. Надо сделать звук хотя бы потише, у меня орёт. Во, надо царь поставить.
I was there with the intention of finding that bastard Bob and collecting the bounty on John Wesley.
One moment, please, ребятушки. Как же лайкоси... Ах ты. Как-то вот эта новая игра вот стала популярна. Вот это... Unleashed. Вот эта новая игра стала популярной. Вот такая уж. Не знаю, все ее рекламят. Я ради принципа в нее играть не буду. Все. Я все сделал. Поехали. Вау. У меня есть винтовка, отлично. Сейчас. Винтовка как-то лучше вроде бы и не стало. Я вроде стреляю прям по нему, но игра почему-то не хочет регистрировать мое попадание.
I thought the Texas Rangers got hard.
Yeah, that's what they want you to believe. It was cold and a witch's tit and a brass bra that night as I fought my way past his loyal compadres to the very same saloon we're sitting in today. Look around and imagine this place painted in blood. Hardin was waiting for me, and wait, I'm jumping the gun here. Let me back up and give you some background on this sumbitch. He deserves that much. Don't you think so, Ben? John Wesley Hardin was a killer. By the end, he confessed to taking the lives of 42 men. Fathers and husbands, brothers and sons, men with families who cared about them. Families who put up money in hopes of finding justice.
Так я все пропустил.
He was a bona fide folk hero by then, and had amassed a gang of armed miscreants and other assorted thugs. He and his men set up camp outside of town, and I was hoping Bob was among them. They didn't ask why I was there. They knew, as most of them were wanted as well. I figured Hardin was here somewhere, but to get to him, I'd have to get past his gun hands. I had to spill a lot of blood to find out Hardin wasn't in that camp. He was carousing in town with his closest friends. Hardin's boys apparently didn't want me to reach the Bull's Head. Some were hightailing it into town to inform their jefe of my unwelcome
Тоже
presence.
какой-то ультра-мега-стрелок. Сейчас я их порешаю. Вот, револьвер, это уже наша тема. Потому что револьвер это... Револьвер это наша ковбойская. Револьвер и винчестер. Это наша ковбойская тема.
And I steeled myself for the fight ahead. For as good as I was, deep down I wondered if John Wesley wasn't just a little bit better.
Красивая графика в игре. Давайте пойдем налево. Как бы ничего личного. Ну ладно. Я, по-моему, потерялся. Ой, да. Ну, отклоняйтесь от истории, извиняюсь. Обратно. Я не хотел отклоняться от истории ни в коем случае. Значит, мне все-таки нужно идти было направо, а не налево. Ладно. Да. Все-таки нужно было направо.
Before I could test my mettle against Hardin, however, I would first need to dispatch his cadre of hired killers.
Ай-яй-яй-яй-яй-яй. Засада.
Most of these degenerates were beyond redemption, but John Wesley might have been a different story.
Засада.
I didn't learn until later that that night was in fact his birthday celebration.
Это очень жестко и очень коварно и вообще неправильно. Убийство в концентрации. Есть такое дело. Наверное, потом для себя я перепройду эту игру еще пару раз, чтобы открыть уровни. Это, конечно, хорошо. Новый уровень — это классно. Сейчас я его и прокачаю. Рейвен рейнджер, револьвер с узором. Так. Это ерунда. Ладно, я прокачаю просто, чтобы было. Вот это понадобится. Больше концентрации, это хорошо. Еще золотая винтовка не помешает, конечно.
I was disappointed that neither Bob nor John Wesley were among the dead.
Как говорится.
But that was short-lived. As a moment later, I was facing down the fastest gun in the West.
Участвуем в настоящей ковбойской дуэли. Первый раз убил 15, убил человека на 1000 за то, что дышали.
I felt a bolt of
Чисто
adrenaline.
по приколу.
Or maybe that was fear. He was well known for his tricks, and I knew I'd need my own if I was ever to defeat him.
Он тупо не этот сам. Просто как бы...
No, wait! He didn't hit me then. I'm sure of it.
Что? А это жесткий дуэль. Еще вот этот курсор, который постоянно сужается, типа концентрация на противнике, он крайне мыльный и достаточно тяжело фокусироваться. Я достал быстрее. Тут надо с уклонением прям. Это жестко. То бишь в любом случае я его не успею убить просто так, но быстрее, чем он меня. Плохо. Ну да. Бля, я пока не понимаю. Подожди. Я пока не понимаю. Концентрация уже все почти 100%. Я успел. А как понять, что пуля летит конкретно мне в лицо? Ну ладно.
That man was faster than greased lightning. But being inebriated as he was, he didn't count his shots. And now, he was at my mercy.
Я же убил.
So he didn't die?
No, I sent him to prison. Years later, after he was free, some restless Avenger took his life.
Ладно,
Shot him in the back in a saloon, just like this one. Anybody up for another beer?
Я думаю, я его
Ben?
убил. Всего лишь за решетку отправил.
Thank you, darling. Yeah, some say revenge is a dish best served cold.
So whatever happened to that Bob guy you were after?
Personally, I'd like to hear some of your other adventures. Like, I don't know, did you ever go toe-to-toe with a red man?
За ваше здоровье.
Yes, I did, Ben. I remember once I was after this renegade Apache, Grey Wolf. Strangely enough, revenge was also his primary motivation.
Танцы с отступниками. Вот и серый волк красуется на скале. Кстати, это интересная глава, насколько мне помнится. Помнится мне слабо чего они, но
A
интересно.
bounty was put on Grey Wolf's head, and that's how I came to hunt him in the mountains. Mountains so high they tickled the nether regions of heaven. Grey Wolf was a Chiricahua Apache medicine man who had led a war party in revenge for a massacre against his people. The U.S. Army had attacked his tribe during his daughter's sacred sunrise ceremony, and the slaughter was unspeakable. I understood his anger, as there's nothing more traumatic than seeing those you love die in a cruel and painful death. Right from the beginning, I couldn't shake the feeling that Grey Wolf was watching my every move. He led a band of young Apache warriors who wanted retribution and were more than willing to die for him.
Чуть-чуть не хватает. У меня рейнджер? Нет, у меня револьвер. Тут как бы есть небольшая вариативность, но по сути она ни к чему не приведет. Но все равно надо...
They saw me before I saw them. And it crossed my mind that maybe this wasn't such a good idea. But now that the shooting had started, there was no backing down.
Так классно ворвался. Надо потом в два револьвера взять.
They saw me before I saw them.
Где третий? Все, закончились. Катим мало, да? Давай. Тут лучше с револьвером.
It was rugged country, the winter home of the Chiricahuas. That's why they had retreated there. I admit to having some regrets about going after them the way I did. But then again, I got a lot of those.
Did you find Grey Wolf?
Not at that moment, but I did find the entrance to their hideout.
Шикарно, шикарно. Быстро зарядили так.
A deep crevice that led to a deeper cave.
Don't tell me you went in there.
Yeah, but it's not out of bravery so much as pure, angry cussedness.
Не умеете стрелять, не надо драться.
See, back then, I had a stubborn streak a mile wide. And I wasn't about to back down.
So it was like pitch black in there?
Actually, it was pretty well lit, as they had torches on the walls.
О, здравствуйте. Бронированный рейнджер. Но рейнджер, он наносит огромную кучу дэмэджа, но...
How big was this cave?
Big as
Сам по
hell,
себе
Ben.
очень медленный.
Chiricahua had hid out there during the Indian War.
Вот и разобрались.
They thought it was haunted with the ghosts of those murdered by the horse soldiers.
The cave was haunted with dead Indian ghosts?
To be honest, I was more concerned with the live ones than the dead ones.
Мать, голову, давай. Головню. Мать, тебе головню по твоей роже. Что там?
How come you know so much about engines?
A few years back, I was married to 2 Mescalero women.
At the
Чуть не
same
хватает.
time?
5
Yeah,
убийств
they were
буквально.
sisters. Polygyny is traditional among the Mescalero.
So what happened?
Oh, I had to get out of there. Those girls never shut up.
Ну,
Both of them
много
nagging at me
врагов,
all the
огромная
time.
куча.
Drove me half crazy. Haven't seen them since.
Что?
I came upon this flooded grotto, and that's when I saw him. He came to me unarmed and unafraid. His voice echoed in the shadows. And I sensed he meant me no harm.
You carry great darkness in your heart, and if you do not release it, it will claim your soul.
The sound of his voice put some kind of ancient Indian spell on me. As his story unfolded in my mind,
You will come to this place again and kill many more men, and the darkness will grow until it consumes everything that you are. My soul would have no rainbow, I had no tears.
he said I was a great warrior, a coyote man, unequaled by any other pale-faced warrior, or something like that.
The snakes will bite shadows of your past until a venom poisons your heart, and an echo of the song of the dead summons the spirits deep from within the mountains.
I didn't quite get what he was saying, but there was definitely snakes. And indeed, his warriors surrounded me and attacked me like hungry wolverines.
За раз-два уровня. Так, что здесь? Да. Хочу золотую винтовку, еще 2 уровня надо.
They couldn't stop me, though, and Grey Wolf wasn't in the mood for idle talk.
Есть такое дело. Я настоящий.
I swear I couldn't see any way out of this trap. But suddenly, one just appeared. Kind of like a miracle.
Нормально тут такие технологии.
I felt like I would be lost in that damn cave forever. Finally, I found myself back outside, perched on the edge of a precipice, overlooking a thundering whitewater river. To get where I was going required several leaps of faith. But no way in hell I was turning back. I chased after him, determined to make him explain the meaning of all that mumbo-jumbo.
Mumbo-jumbo is right. Are you making this all up as you go?
A few details may be fuzzy, brother, but I am relating exactly what happened. There were dozens of Apache warriors aiming at me from on high.
Dozens?
Well, maybe not dozens,
никто не
but
помешал
there
бы
was a lot of them.
At least 3 or
его
4.
сейчас убить.
Well, more than half of them.
Но
I had a steep climb up creek ahead of me and scrambled up those rocks like a mountain goat. I was determined to locate Grey Wolf and find out exactly what the
Кстати,
hell he was
этот
trying to
босс
tell me.
очень легкий,
And wouldn't you
насколько
know
я
it,
помню.
that crafty son of a bitch led me right into a trap.
What kind of trap?
Well, son, there had to be at least 100
Этот босс,
Apaches
насколько
around
я
here.
помню, очень
100?
легкий.
God be my witness.
Oh, come on. Who are you kidding?
Hey, I believe you. Come on, tell us how it ended.
All right, but I'm not gonna drag this out. Where were we?
You were surrounded by 100 Apache warriors.
Well, I didn't take the time to count them exactly, but there were a lot of them.
Так, допустим. Как я выжил. Опа. Касался живых. Ну ладно. А куда мне? Не нравится мне этот звук. Да ну неужели кто-то не отспавнился? Кого я не убил? Покажись.
And in the end, a path appeared before me that I had not seen before. I followed it as I desperately needed to find out what Grey Wolf was trying to tell me. But it was like that son of a bitch disappeared into thin air.
Так вот и бывает в жизни.
Never did find him. And never did collect my goddamn bounty.
Чуть-чуть не хватило опыта. Буквально
Thank you,
чуть-чуть.
darling. It's interesting how the truth can sometimes seem might malleable, depending upon your point of view.
Like how those dime novels make you out to be something you're not?
Jack, don't be starting trouble.
No, he's right. They do tend to exaggerate.
Did they exaggerate your part in taking down the Daltons?
Well,
Да.
I was there in the flesh, boy, so I saw what happened firsthand.
По статистике, и эта игра никому не нравится.
Those Daltons were lawmen once, before they all went bad, robbing banks and trains clear across the territory. Until
Чисто
Coffeeville,
FPS
of
я не
course.
вижу смысла.
I was one of the citizens who took up arms that day.
Тем более
Fighting
без
on the
прайм
side of
статуса
right.
там
I did my
не на
best,
что
sir.
смотреть.
We all
Как
did.
меня унижают читеры, ну это мне очень интересно. По моему мнению. Меня зовут Охотником за головами.
It was early morning. One of my friends was a local gunsmith, and he handed out firearms to anybody who'd take one. You see, the dogs got it in their heads to rob two banks at the same time. Two banks on the same damn street.
Во-во-во-во-во.
Story was Bob Dalton's girl was always writing him about how he had no ambition. Well, the locals recognized the Daltons right off.
Put some holes in him!
Before they could get away, half the town took up arms to defend their property.
Так.
The brothers paid dearly for their stupidity, but everybody knows they had it coming.
There's more to it than that. I read all about that day, so I know for a fact that it went down very differently.
Ну, эта история раза 3
First of
будет
all, it was
перезапускаться.
high noon. A posse of U.S. deputy marshals were on the rooftop across the street.
Get ready, boys. They're gonna make a move.
The lawmen had been tracking the Daltons for months. Now they finally had them dead to rights. Among them was a bounty hunter feared by many a lawbreaker. The marshals tried to get the Daltons to surrender.
They'll give up eventually. You just gotta wait the son of a bitches out.
This bounty hunter knew that the brothers were far too proud to ever lay down their guns. He went in there alone to confront those criminals.
Отлично.
One of the marshals shouted, "Where are you going? Are you crazy?"
Hey, where do you think you're going, dumbass? That rifle's mine.
He paid him no mind. He saw a way to get around to the back of the bank.
Но
Then he
дробовик
figured out how
это
to hit the Daltons from a direction they weren't expecting.
Винтовочка, вот это уже
From
наш
above. Fortunately, a water tower was right there.
кстати.
A moment later, he was climbing up a
2000
steep
очков не
ladder,
хватает.
laughing at danger as he did.
Ну и потом второго уровня следующего.
Brave men like him who risked their lives to tame this wild country.
We've got company.
Heroic men like him did what other men couldn't
Так.
or wouldn't to make this country free.
Silas Green? Son of a bitch!
Like Jim Boone, Davy Crockett, who died defending the Alamo.
Нету уже ни черта.
Over there!
Рефлекс.
Silas Green! What the hell?
Blam! Blam! He came away victorious, taking down those thieving Daltons.
Пара.
His name? Silas
Sharp.
Greaves. And when the dust finally settled, he was the last man standing.
Подсказки врага за спиной. А это казнь ближайшего попадания голода, даже не целясь. Нажимайте Q.
Sorry, kid, but that just wasn't the way it happened.
Еще один
It was
перезапуск
early
миссии, и
evening,
это
not high
финальный.
noon. The Daltons blew up a safe, and were all set to hightail it out of there. Those pathetic deputies surrounding the bank were dropping like flies.
I'm in!
Лидер любовных лоб. Окей.
I had been tracking those jokers for months, waiting for them to do something reckless. And finally, they did. Those stupid bastards decided to rob two banks at the same time in the same town where everybody knew them. But they still had friends in Coffeeville.
Рукопашка.
Those friends came after me like a pack of wild dogs,
Шикарно.
tooth and nail. They were coming at me from all directions.
Обожаю эту тему.
I caught sight of the Daltons running with the money and didn't want to lose them. The problem was, they knew the town better than I did. And to top it off, I found myself in the middle of another shootout entirely.
Did the Daltons hole up in somebody's house?
No, it was the Smiths, I believe. They were cousins of the Daltons. And they were shooting at the Browns, who were shooting at the Daltons.
О, как так.
Did the Daltons hole up in somebody's house?
No, it was the Smiths, I believe. They were cousins of the Daltons. And they were shooting at the Browns, who were shooting at the Daltons. Which wasn't any surprise, because those two families have been feuding forever. And since the Joneses are related to the Browns, they shot at the Smiths, pissing off the Heimhoffers, whose daughter recently married a Smith. Well, bullets are flying every which way as all the old feuds in Kansas caught fire all at once. There was a hell of a lot of pissed off people in Coffeeville that day. But that's just the way life is sometimes. Shit happens.
Так, здесь должен был быть секрет. Насколько мне помнится... плохо помнится. А нет, вот же. Я же говорю, должен быть секрет.
The Dalton boys knew I would never give up. Those Daltons weren't the sharpest knives in the drawer, but they always stood together. They set a trap to slow me down and allow at least 2 of them to escape. The third brother stayed behind to plant me, just in case that trap of theirs didn't work. It was Emmett, the youngest, and he decided to stand his ground and face me down. He was determined to protect his brothers. I understood how he felt. Taking me on all by his lonesome wasn't exactly a recipe for a long life.
На самом деле это правда не тяжко сделать. Из-за такого как бы огромного босса считать. Все, я убил.
But Emmett Dalton survived the robbery in Coffeeville. He's the only Dalton who did.
They say he was shot 23 times.
Well, Dwight, who do you think put all those damn holes in him? But I have to admit, that boy had grit.
Еще 5000 и у нас будет золотая винтовка.
We'll get those suckers.
It took me a couple of days to track the Daltons down.
They can't get away with this.
And in that time, a whole posse of local vigilantes offered to lend a hand.
We'll track them to the ends of the earth.
They seemed as determined as me to find those outlaws. But as we headed into those swamps, it was like I had my own private army. There was no way those boys were getting away this time.
It was early fall, right? Beautiful time of year. At least you had the weather on your side.
Да. Будет золотая винтовка. Что тут написано? Неизвестный изобретатель этого шедевра модифицировал его пружину, чтобы увеличить емкость магазина. Кроме того, это дробовик. В смысле? Легче и прочнее, благодаря чему он удобнее лежит в руках и имеет меньшую отдачу. Минус 25 отдачи, плюс 30 к скорости прицеливания, плюс 2.
Not by my recollection. It was damp and foggy as hell. It was tough to stay on a true course, so we kept an eye out for landmarks.
Мне кажется, тут секрет. Вот. Ну ладно.
It was autumn. The maple trees were in full color, red as blood. The rains that year were torrential, so the whole area was flooded. The vigilantes had spread out wide, and pretty soon I couldn't see anybody.
Как скажешь, бро. Сам ничего не понял.
Except for some bitches ahead of me wanting to do me harm, so I had to face them alone. I wondered why my compatriots didn't come running when they heard the shots.
So did you find the Daltons?
Not yet, but I did have the questionable pleasure of meeting a few of their friends. The boys had established quite a reputation by that time, so they attracted all manner of riffraff to their cause. B and I was under serious attack. And my reinforcements was nowhere to be seen.
Плюс золотая винтовка, кстати. Да. Да. Какая она красивая.
But luckily, a barn materialized as if right before my eyes. I scrambled up top to get a better view.
Вполне пройти игру, даже не парень. Взял револьвер с узором.
But just ended up falling inside.
So, how did
Всё.
you get out?
The barn doors was open. About right then, I saw some suspicious characters running through the bushes. Of course, I followed them. But that goddamn swamp was like a goddamn maze, and pretty soon I had no goddamn idea where I was.
Ладно, будем бежать.
Steve?
В эту сторону.
So I just started walking, and pretty soon, Steve? Steve?
Стив заснул.
Oh, no, I'm listening.
Indians surrounded me from all sides.
Главное, быстро ориентирование на местность.
Engines?
There were Indians.
No. I just wanted to make sure Steve was paying attention. Now, where was I?
You were following the Daltons through a swamp?
That's right. See, Steve? Dwight's paying attention.
No, I'm listening. I was just resting my eyes.
So, where was I?
The Daltons.
Right. See, there's a reason so many outlaw gangs are made up of brothers. Being a brother is a very sacred thing. It's a bond like no other.
Bounty hunters! Stop that, son of a bitch! So did you ever find the damn Daltons?
Not yet. But I did find a few of their cousins. Kansas breed like rabbits.
Это я прямо, конечно, глупенько, ну ладно.
Bounty hunters! Stop that, son of a bitch! So did you ever find the damn Daltons?
Not yet. But I did find a few of their cousins.
Чански нужно
Kansas breed like rabbits.
все равно меня.
More Smiths or Heimhoffers or who knows what.
Ну и я, наверное,
But hell,
пойду спать.
what's more important than family? I bet Ben knows what I'm talking about.
Лови пока динамит бьётся. Шикарно. Давайте попробуем обойти. Не получается лицо. Не получается в лицо, надо обойти. Сейчас я концентрацию использую. Падай. Да, взрываться, конечно, мощно.
I knew those Dalton boys were out there somewhere, standing together against anyone who would threaten them.
Мощный дядька. С него даже можно на дробовик залутать, если очень хочется.
And that's when I saw it. A goddamn steamboat.
A steamboat in a swamp?
Yeah, Steve, but this wasn't much more than a wreck, really.
But how'd a damn steamboat end up in the swamps? Guess it floated off during the flood of '89.
Now, was it a stern wheeler or a side wheeler?
What? Does that really make a difference, Steve? It was a steamboat with a goddamn army on board. It was then that a fusillade of bullets come raining down from on high. And those vigilantes who accompanied me weren't anywhere to be found.
А ему здесь нужно, конечно,
But among those men that were shooting at me, I thought I saw some familiar faces.
А ему нужно тренировать против. Ну так быстро наводиться.
Somewhere up there, the Daltons were waiting on me.
Так-то вроде не особо тренируется, но если взять быстроту наведения, тогда надо.
Sounds like you don't give up too easy.
That's the kind of man I am, Ben. I set out to do something. I do it. Surrender just ain't in my nature. Plus, I'm stubborn as hell.
You better hide.
Right about then, much to my relief, the vigilantes finally arrived. Their leader motioned at a cabin in the middle of the top deck, pointing me directly at the Daltons. I finally had them, after months of dogged pursuit.
Здесь.
But it turned out that they had me.
Take him out!
Так и знал.
Sending you to hell!
The Daltons had played me like a fiddle. Apparently, the vigilantes were on their damn payroll. They didn't just want to shoot me. They wanted to burn me alive. But finding my way out of a burning labyrinth proved to be quite a challenge.
It was a riverboat, right? I mean, it's not like it was a goddamn ocean.
Oh, yeah, but I was in a
Did you
fight.
hear about that ship that's gonna launch next year? Largest one in the world.
You're talking about the Titanic. If you ask me, it's too blessed dead. I don't think it'll even float.
So anyway,
Don't be stupid, Steve. They know what they're doing. They say that the Titanic is unsank.
oh God,
But getting back to that steamboat, how did you get off it, Mr. Greaves?
I took in a lot of smoke that day, so I admit my recollection might be a bit hazy. but somehow I managed to finally disembark. It was time to settle this once and for all.
Это шикарный пулемет. Проехать по всем. 30
Bob and Grat weren't about to come at me one at a time.
Даже два
They
уровня.
were in this together.
Револьвер с костяной ручкой. 3 уровня надо. Просто чтобы было вот так. Сделаю и все.
Two brothers side by side, determined to take me down. Confident that this time the odds were on their side.
Как мне на двоих разорваться, что ли? Я как бы успел, но как бы нет. Мы убили друг друга. Это одновременный килл был.
They got it wrong. A sad end for those two. If they'd only known that Emmett was still alive despite his wounds. Paroled 14 years later, he moved to California and sold real estate and lived off the legend of that fateful day. And the tragic death
Высокая точность
of his
довольно-таки.
two brothers.
Скорость 100%, фокус. Фокус мало процентов. Ну, как там, 89.
My own brothers died tragically as well, truth be told.
Заканчиваем стрим. Эпизод 7. Wild Bunch. Juarez 1860.
It was 1868, and me and my older brothers were pulling a tidy profit running cattle into Juarez, Mexico. One night after my brothers retired for the evening, I found a little poker game in a cantina with a couple of cowboys. And I just couldn't lose. I even won an old Spanish coin that had to be 100 years old.
Игра, по сути.
I was mighty pleased with myself the next morning as my brothers and I rode for Texas.
Какой-то там Gunslinger.
But before we crossed the border, those cowboys caught up with
Или
us.
что-то типа того.
It was Johnny Ringo, Roscoe Bob Bryant, and another asshole named Jim. They wanted their money back and everything else we had, including our lives, as those boys didn't want us coming for them later. Bob put that old Spanish coin in my mouth and said, "I won't have it said that I left you with nothing, boy." Well, those horses bolted, and there we hung as those bastards rode away. The branch finally snapped under the weight of the three of us, but being my older brothers were bigger and heavier, they were already dead. And right then I swore to myself that I would avenge them. Ringo you know about. But Bob eluded me, until I heard he was riding with the Wild Bunch.
Не самое удачное ограбление поезда. Кстати, классная глава. Но продолжим мы завтра.
I'd been on their trail for months, ever since they left their hideout in the Bighorn Mountains.
Да. Спасибо всем за просмотр. Спасибо за лайки, за комментариев не было, за комментарии не буду говорить. Вот. Подписывайтесь на канал. Смотрите другие видео, записи стримов. Всем удачи и всем